Hello and welcome to another episode of the Transportation Exchange podcast presented by Rush Truck Centers of Canada. I'm your host, Jason Cuddy, and on today's episode, we welcome back Dave Embury, Territory Manager with Eaton. Dave, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Jason. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Yeah, so we wanted to have you on as there's been quite a lot going on with you guys as far as transmission offerings. Some things going away, some things being added to. So I thought it was a great time to have you join us and kind of walk us through what's happening with Eaton. So I guess maybe to start off, maybe talk about what's kind of going away. What's the end of the line for some of the transmissions we're used to?
Well, the UltraShift Plus family will be going away at the end of 2023. It's being replaced by a new family, the Endurant family of transmissions. But the UltraShift Plus has been around for like 20 years.
Right.
It was, as everyone knows, was the automated version of our popular Road Ranger manual transmission. And that was offered in the 10s and 13, 15, 18 speed, different versions of that. So what we're doing is trying to reduce the model offerings as well, but it'll bring down that and replace them with the new Endurant family.
Gotcha. So I guess the biggest impact probably for, say, in our world is the medium duty kind of gets the biggest kind of, offering miss and, with the automateds.
Yes, it's still from Eaton offering just in the manual.
Gotcha.
Product.
Yeah, we'll dig into the manuals a little bit later.
Okay.
So, but I guess, as you mentioned, we're, for those who have got some new trucks recently, the Endurance done really well. It's been, mirrored up to the 826. So we see it quite a bit in, the HV, some of the HXs in the LT world, and I guess in the RH world as well. So maybe you can walk us through a little bit of, what the sweet spot is with the Endurant HD, but there's a couple more Endurance to the family. So maybe, inform us on, what is new to the Endurant family.
Right. The Endurant family was introduced about 5 years ago, and the first model was the 12-speed, as you mentioned, focuses on the highway market. And now we're introducing the XD model and the XD Pro model. When the Endurant was first introduced, the main goals with it was to improve efficiency, smoother shifting, improved reliability, and it was a purpose-built automated transmission. The Endurant was never a manual shifted transmission.
Gotcha.
So in doing that, it was designed for that purpose, and we were able to add a lot of features that we wanted to do, and that's what we're using now moving forward.
Gotcha. And that's a good point, right? Because the UltraShifts were basically, repurposed, for lack of better words, manuals to become automated, where the Endurant is a build-on platform. It's truly an automated from the ground up.
Right. And the reason we did that, of course, was the manual product was it answered all the questions as far as reductions and
right.
gear ratios and reliability, and we just kept building on that. So some of the key features with that was a twin countershaft. Now, features like that we have carried over into the new Endurant family. So with the new Endurant family of transmissions, they still use the twin countershaft because that's how we were able to manage the higher torques of today's engines,
right,
and put it in a smaller package with twin countershaft design.
Gotcha.
Other areas that we've improved on is reducing weight, and the Endurant family is all aluminum casing.
Okay.
As far as improving efficiency, we're using helical gearing, and we have a precision lube system that's spraying lubricant right into the gear teeth mesh, which is where the heat's generated. So it'll help reduce the heat. And on the any model up to 110,000 pounds, we don't need a oil cooler. So because with the aluminum casing and the pressure lube system, it helps keep the temperature down. Once you go above 110, yes, we definitely need oil cooler on it. Some of the other key areas from the UltraShift, we used to have an XY shifter on top of the transmission and an electronic control, clutch control on the bottom.
Right.
We had external harnesses and plugs that obviously subject to road debris and contamination. So what we've done with the Endurant is moved all those electronic parts into mechatronic control on top of the transmission. And so it houses all the valves, all the shift rails, sensors, and everything's up there. It's all internal, contained. It is a serviceable unit. In addition, the transmission controller is up there as well. and the linear clutch actuator is on top of the transmission. Now, it's now pneumatic versus electric, which we used to use on UltraShift Plus. So just that alone is helping to improve reliability because everything's contained at the top and less electric motors within the system. Another key feature that we offer now is a oil pressure monitoring, and this will alert the driver if there's any sort of a low lube condition and prevent a costly repair. We've always had temperature controls, but this is the first that we had a oil pressure monitoring. So, improve reliability there.
Gotcha. Some key feature updates. So for those familiar with the Endurant HD, it's purpose-built kind of highway application. For the XD and the XD Pro, kind of where are those designed to kind of slot in from usage and application base?
So with the XD and the XD Pro, they are they're designed to look after or more focused on like the 13s and 15, 18 speed market, the higher gross weight markets. Now, it is not just a beefed up 12 speed because there's an extra set of gear set in there to give you the 18 speed. So the case is actually beefed up as well to handle the higher torques and the higher weights, and of course the extra gear set. So it's 18 gear ratios, yet with our technology, we're not necessarily using all the shifts. Shifts are based on the load, the torque, and the throttle demand. So our shifts, we're not necessarily going to use all the gear ratios. So
Gotcha.
skip shifting is common, and the whole key is trying to keep the engine RPM within the ultimate operating range to keep the engine running the most efficient as well. So the gear steps are like 20%, which is approximately 200 RPM between gear ratios.
Gotcha.
So with today's low-sped gears, low-sped trucks, you've only got limited amount of RPM to work with. So you want to keep it in that ultimate spot at all times. So transmission that's what its purpose is as well, is to try to keep it there. So
yeah, a significant change. I think, we look back at, I guess, the step ratios from years ago, you'd be like 30, mid-30s, almost 40%, right?
Yep.
But, different engine technology too. So it's nice to see as the engine technology has changed, you guys have evolved with it to try and maximize the power out of it, without, going to dead zones of RPM, where there's nothing there anymore.
And the other features with the transmission, of course, is all the driver features. Like a driver, more or less, is expecting the same experience with his truck as he's had with his personal vehicle.
Right.
So all the features like urged move, creep, hill start aid, auto neutral, they're all offered with this transmission as well. And the other feature, of course, is neutral coast. And neutral coast was initially introduced as a fuel savings feature, and now with greenhouse gases and that, it's actually contributes to reduction in greenhouse gas too.
Good point. So it makes sense. I guess obviously at a coast mode downhill or a certain speed, if you're not picking up speed, there's not as much demand from the engine. It's setting itself to neutral to kind of limit the the wear and tear and any
Correct.
usage. Interesting. And the other one that was interesting, I know I've even called you on just to clarify something, but on the HD Pro, 6 reverse gears, which was mind-boggling, but I get to get the ratios down to where you want to go if you have a high-speed reverse application. It was interesting to see because everyone usually has 2 traditionally. To see 6 was, I guess it talks to about the extra gear sets and new technology. You're recognizing that at certain applications you're going to need to do a bit more than what the normal shoebox kind of application was before.
Right, and a high-speed reverse may be for specialty applications, but the one I think we were talking about is like a rail maintenance vehicle.
Yeah.
The other thing with the XD Pro, it has a rock-free feature, which is designed for soft soil and mud, and help the driver get unstuck if it was stuck. In addition, the XD Pro uses a heavy-duty clutch, and even with the whole Endurant family uses a single plate organic facing 17-inch clutch, where the old UltraShift Plus and manuals always used a 15.5 2-plate ceramic, which was fairly aggressive on start and stop as well. But it was ceramic for durability. Now, with the organic, it's larger, but it does give you a softer shift engagement for low-speed maneuverability and shifts throughout.
Gotcha. So it's nicely refined all around, and obviously PTO offerings is designed, accept a whole bunch of different, PTO applications, given that these are going to see different lives throughout the platform.
Yes. So it has the standard 8-bolt PTO on the bottom and the 4-bolt on the rear. Okay. So the 8-bolt is standard on is the only offering on the Endurant HD. And it's an optional for the through shaft, but on the XD and XD Pro, it's standard. You have both PTOs right out of the factory.
Excellent. But then, for the medium duty, for what's there to support, I guess, and obviously into the heavy duty side too. But maybe we'll kind of walk us through what are the manual offerings. They're slimmer and slimmer. I mean, 20 years ago, it was probably 5 or 10% of the fleets were taking, automated transmissions. Now it's probably 5 or 10% are taking manuals. It's totally done a complete 180. Yeah. But, for those that still want to, use every extremity to drive a vehicle, what are their options?
You would still have a 6-speed option or a 10-speed option.
Gotcha.
So yes, it's very limited, and you are correct. The medium duty is mostly automated, as well as all the highway trucks. Most highway trucks right this time are automated as well. So the way of the manual is diminishing quite a bit. There are still manual transmissions offered. Like we still offer a 10-speed, 13, 18-speed manual transmissions. There's certain applications that people prefer them in. Mm-hmm. And of course, owner-operators, a lot of them would like to maintain having a stick and keeping that control. However, we also see a shift in owner-operators moving to automated as well. But there are still manuals out there, and as long as people want to buy them, we'll likely still offer them. So.
Yeah, no, fair. And, we've all seen the shift. And I remember, having one customer that was all manuals, and, they drove out west quite a bit. So they liked it because for the highway, right, have better control. And this is, part of it was learning the engine speeds were changing, where all the shift points were. And, but they were adamant on manuals to get through the mountains. And then we put in automated transmissions. And at first they're cursing, but then they realized it shifts so much better. It's way more efficient. So I think they'd go out to the West Coast. They had one less fuel stop, just in the fuel savings alone, especially through the mountains. And, now that you have purpose-built automated transmissions with the Endurant line, these things are, fairly bulletproof, very serviceable, but also, are designed to maximize, the output of the engine, right? Everything's engineered kind of in partnership, obviously with Cummins predominantly, for a lot of this, but also with the A26 too. I know the engineering teams, between the two companies did a lot to make sure that these things mirror up and are, the most efficient, in every kind of shift point.
Yes, it's also made it up to PACCAR engines in Detroit as well. So one other thing is the warranty has been extended on highway is 5 years, 750,000 miles. The other feature is extended lube change intervals, all to reduce the cost of maintenance and maintaining the product as well.
Excellent. Yeah, and we've seen that with the engine side more so on the carb world, but it's nice to see that, the warranties kind of are mirroring up, yet a little bit longer. But I think it just speaks volume to the product, right? You guys stand behind it and you recognize that people want to touch the vehicle less from a service point of view, right? Less downtime, more uptime, reduce the cost of ownership, and kind of, you're backing it, a little bit longer and recognizing that, the technology and the product is robust and will produce.
And the other key feature when you have less oil as well is it's helped to reduce the weight, and that in combination with the aluminum housings brought the transmission down by about 200 pounds. So,
a significant weight savings.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Well, look, hey, we want to thank you for coming in, sharing the updates of, a few things are going away, unfortunately, but definitely exciting things to look forward to this year and beyond with Eaton product line. So thanks for coming back in again and giving us that update.
Thanks very much.
Well, that concludes today's episode. I want to thank Dave from Eaton for joining us. And to catch up on past episodes, check out transportationexchangepodcast.ca. Until next time, thanks for listening.